Alright, so in the previous class we have seen what is the relation between stress and strain. So no, we did not see the relation between stress and strain. I have explained what is stress and what is strain. What is strain is basically it is change in length of quantity by original quantity is your strain, and your stress is restoring force by area. Now okay, experimentally there was a curve that was given by scientists, that is your relation between stress and strain, or it is stress strain curve. Okay, so on the y axis what we are doing is we are considering stress, and on the x-axis if we consider strain. Experimentally it was observed that okay, your graph is starting at some point like this and it is going to some point A. Okay, now from O to A, okay, that is in most of the materials, okay, from O to A your stress is directly proportional to strain. This is experimental observation. You have a straight line passing through origin. So whenever we have a line passing through origin, we will write just simply it as y equal to mx. So that means your y is directly proportional to x. So here it is directly related as stress is directly proportional to strain. Okay, now here this is an important point, that is indirectly this is in fact called as Hooke's law. Okay, Hooke is contemporary of Boyle, so this is your Hooke's law. Okay, so for materials, okay, that is for elastic materials, what is going to happen is your stress strain curve, if you take a look at it, your stress is directly proportional to strain. Okay, so stress strain curve is observed experimentally, it is not given by me. Okay, right? Next, okay, in most of the books it is represented as P, it's not even A, it is P. Okay, I will take according to standard books. Okay, now from region O to P your stress is directly proportional to strain, and here body regains shape, in this region. Okay, from O to P your body will regain your shape. Okay, right? Next, now after P, okay, after P there will be one more point E, okay, which is present in the curve like this. Now from P to E also, okay, from the region P to E, okay, from O to P stress is directly proportional to strain. This region is stress is directly proportional to strain. This is experimental graph given by scientists. Okay, and it is the basis for Hooke's law. Okay, and from this region, okay, from O to P your stress is directly proportional to strain and body will regain shape. Now if you take the region P to E, okay, if you are taking the region P to E, now in P to E stress is not proportional to strain. Okay, in the region P to E your stress is not proportional to strain, but body regains shape, but body regains shape. Okay, regaining shape is elastic property. Okay, body regains shape. Okay, this point is called elastic limit, and this stress is your elastic stress. Okay, so your point E is indirectly your elastic limit. Okay, beyond this body will not regain shape. Okay, in spite of whatever stress strain you adjust, it doesn't matter, but once the body crosses this point, it will not gain the stress at all. Okay, so only until point E your stress will be regained. Okay, right? So this is your basic stress strain curve until this point E. Now from this point E, your body's stress strain will be changing and your graph will be coming like this. This point is F, this point is C, and one more point that you have is somewhere here you will have A. Okay, now this F is actually fracture point. What are all the points required? I will tell you. Okay, now these points A and C are not much required, but your body regains shape till E only. Okay, from O to P it regains shape. Here stress is directly proportional to strain. From P to E also it regains shape, but stress is not directly proportional to strain. But beyond this point, okay, your whatever stress you apply, it doesn't matter, but here this E is your elastic limit and F is your fracture point. Okay, now this is your highest point. Okay, and its name is, this is your tensile strength. Okay, this point is your point of tensile strength. Okay, and this F is your fracture point. F is fracture point. So that means it breaks. Okay, beyond elastic limit, okay, you will have this fracture point. Okay, so once again I am repeating, in 1 minute I will summarize. So your stress strain graph is given experimentally by the scientists like this. Okay, that graph will be like this. These points A and C I want to explain, but I will deviate a lot from your JEE syllabus if I do so. I don't want to explain anything regarding points A and C. But this F is fracture point. Okay, and E is your elastic limit. From O to E, okay, from O till E body regains shape, but your stress is directly proportional to strain only in the region O to P. Only in this region your Hooke's law is valid. Okay, that is stress is directly proportional to strain. From P to E stress is not directly proportional to strain, but body regains shape. And here this F is your fracture point. At fracture point body will break. Okay, so body breaks at the fracture point. Okay, now if this region of E to F is more, okay, E to F region is more, okay, your material is ductile. Okay, material is ductile. Ductile means you can bend it. Okay, and if region is less, okay, that means your fracture point is close to elastic limit. Okay, your material is brittle. Your material is brittle. Brittle in the sense it breaks easily. Okay, so this brittleness and ductility is dependent on what you actually do to the metal. Hammering and all, if you do it, annealing, hammering, all those stuff if you do, accordingly it will change. But for now, okay, understand that your stress strain curve is like this. Okay, and within the elastic limit, okay, within the elastic limit, not even elastic limit, okay, only, I mean up to this point P, your stress is directly proportional to strain. Hooke's law is valid. Within the elastic limit body regains shape. That's all. That much if you know, that is enough. And if you reach the point where, okay, your strain is high and your stress is according to that particular relation, you will reach your fracture point and this material will break. And if this region from E to F is large more, then your material is ductile, that means you can bend it like anything. And if it is fracture point is close to this point E, it is brittle, it will break easily. Okay, so this much if you understand between from the stress strain curve, it is enough. Okay, now next part is, okay, hope you have copied it down. So your next part is, okay, once this is known to us, okay, what is that we can do is, we will see Hooke's law and what is the advantage of Hooke's law. We will define different terms from Hooke's law. Okay, so now Hooke's law proof is also present, but I will not touch that now. So your Hooke's law, what it states, I will tell you. Okay, so experimentally it was observed that, okay, for most of the materials your stress is directly proportional to strain. Obviously if you apply more stress, you will have more strain, that is more change in length will occur per unit length. Okay, your strain is change in length by original quantity, stress is your restoring force by area. Now from this expression, if I rearrange this, I can write it as stress is equal to, what is your stress is equal to, it is E times strain. Okay, so your E is stress by strain. Okay, your E is stress by strain. Okay, now this E is called modulus of elasticity. Okay, modulus of elasticity. Okay, this is your modulus of elasticity. Okay, so Hooke's law only tells us, okay, your stress is directly proportional to strain, and we are defining modulus of elasticity from here. Okay, and this modulus of elasticity unit, if you take, stress unit is Newton per meter square, and I told you it is a tensor quantity. Your strain is change in length by original length, it is unitless. This is unitless quantity. Okay, so your E is your elasticity modulus. Now this E can be, okay, this E will be Young's modulus Y in a particular case. Okay, we will call Young's modulus, mostly it is defined for solids, and we will also call this E as bulk modulus. Okay, in depending upon the state in which it is present, mostly for liquids we will define bulk modulus. Okay, right, now just hold on. Okay, now your Young's modulus, bulk modulus and elasticity modulus is what you are going to define usually, and one more modulus is modulus of elasticity will be defined, that is your modulus of rigidity. Okay, this is your modulus of rigidity. So now we are going to see each of these modulus of rigidities. This is modulus of rigidity, this is bulk modulus, this is Young's modulus. Okay, so this is defined mostly for solids and this is for liquids usually, and this is related to shape. Okay, so this is indirectly, okay, this modulus is related to length. Okay, and this is related to volume. Okay, this is related to volume, this is related to shape. Okay, so we are going to use these three modulus of elasticity, and I will define each of this in detail now. But remember, anything that you take, it is ultimately any modulus of elasticity you take, it is stress by strain, and in this stress by strain, okay, your ratio, if you are using Young's modulus, mostly it will be for solids. It's not that you don't define bulk modulus, but usually you will define it for liquids and gases mostly. Even for solids also you can define it. And modulus of rigidity you will define when there is shearing stress or shearing strain. Okay, so now if you have copied this, okay, you can pause the video clip and then copy this content. So now I'll continue. So your next part is, okay, your next part is, what is that I am going to do here is, we are going to see, okay, we are going to see each modulus of elasticity in detail. Now first one is your Young's modulus. I told you it is related to length, okay, it is related to length. So now in this Young's modulus, okay, if you have a wire frame like this, okay, now when you allow it, okay, its length, if it is L, area of cross section is A. Now because of its own weight, what will happen is it will expand by some length delta L. Now you are restoring force to support this balance, some restoring force will develop here. So now if you are taking your stress is restoring force by area that is developed inside the thread. Mostly this restoring force is nothing but your tension, okay. So your molecules will be at some equilibrium distance or not, okay. Your tension, I told you in Newton's laws of motion, but once again I will tell you, when you pull these molecules automatically or stretching it, when you are stretching it, applying some external force, okay, internally tension will develop in the pulling direction. This tension is only your restoring force. Restoring force is tension in case of threads like this, okay. So now here what happens is, okay, if you are considering this situation, in this situation your strain, if you define it, your strain is change in length by original length, okay. This modulus of elasticity is a positive quantity. If you are compressing, you have to keep minus sign so that this delta is always final minus initial. So to get positive answer, you have to keep a minus sign, but in this case there is elongation, so I will keep plus. So this is delta L by L. Now your Young's modulus is longitudinal stress by longitudinal strain. Longitudinal word if I am using, that is indirectly related to length. So you will get your force by area by change in length by original length. This is your Young's modulus, okay. So same we are going to use this definition in which chapter, means we are going to use it in thermal expansion, okay. We can relate elasticity with thermal expansion chapter and then do the calculations accordingly, okay. So in this case your restoring force is this. So your restoring force by area is your Young's modulus times delta L by L. Your restoring force is Y into A into delta L by L, okay. Now what is this delta L? You watch my thermal expansion video. In those videos I have explained what is this delta L and what is thermal stress in detail, okay, right. So generally this is your restoring force definition, and based on this there will be simple questions, okay. You will be given some pulleys, blocks like this, and you are asked to relate Newton's laws of motion with elasticity, Young's modulus, breaking stress and all will be given. I will talk about it later in the problem solving session separately, okay. But for now your Young's modulus is defined like this, and there are possibilities of questions. You will be calculating tension in the string, and in case of this F you have to keep the tension, and some unknown quantity will be there, you are supposed to calculate it, okay. So for understanding sake, anyhow, what is there, let me give a question that will help us out. So on this, no, first we will finish off the definitions. Once the theoretical part is done, problems we will do separately. No, problem we will not do it now. Next, your next part is your bulk modulus. Now bulk modulus of rigidity, okay. Your bulk modulus, when you will define, I told you it is related to volume, okay, and in the bulk modulus you have to keep, okay, volume. So this is also your elasticity of volume. So this is your elasticity of volume. Now here in this elasticity of volume, okay, what will happen here is, okay, if you are taking some material and you are applying some external force and compressing it, okay, what happens is, okay, because of the compression, let us say its shape has reduced by this much amount, okay, it has reduced its shape because you have applied some external force. In this case, your thermal stress is force by area you are doing it, but that restoring force is developed because of change in pressure, okay, very important. Later I will explain in KTG once again, or in thermodynamics it will come. So stress is change in pressure. In this case your strain is change in volume by volume. Your bulk modulus of elasticity B is, okay, stress by strain. So you will have delta P by delta V by V, but now your volume has decreased. In this case, because of compression, volume is decreasing, and I told you your modulus of elasticity is positive quantity. So for that reason we will keep a minus sign, okay, negative sign to make delta V positive because B is positive, okay. So your bulk modulus of elasticity is defined like this, okay. This is elasticity, this modulus is defined usually when we are trying to calculate in terms of volume. Next, your next thing is, okay, your next thing is your modulus of rigidity or your modulus of shear modulus or modulus of rigidity, that is elasticity of shape, okay. Your next term is modulus of elasticity or elasticity of shape, okay. Now I told you previously also, this shearing stress, I have explained that if you take a block and if you are applying some force in the tangential direction like this, what happens is your material will bend like this. If it is bending like this, this is your delta x, this is your L. I told you your shear stress or tangential stress is represented by symbol tau, that is equal to your force by area, and your shear strain is change in length by original length. Your change in length by original length is indirectly tan phi or tan theta, whatever. In some books this is theta, in some books it is phi, no issues. Now your modulus of rigidity eta, okay, it is represented by eta symbol. Young's modulus is Y, bulk modulus is B. Your modulus of this, oh, what did I write? Modulus of elasticity, I wrote wrong heading. It is modulus of rigidity, okay, or shear modulus of rigidity, okay. So your eta is your modulus of rigidity. It is your tau by shearing stress by theta, which is F by A whole divided by delta x by L, okay. So like this we will define usually 3 modulus of elasticity, okay. So copy this stuff down, okay. All these are simple definitions, and this is one of the easiest chapter for scoring marks, provided you are supposed to remember all the basic formulas, that's all. If you remember all the basic formulas, this will be easy only, okay, right. Next, your next part is, your Poisson's ratio. Now what is your Poisson's ratio? I will tell you. So ratio word, if it is given, obviously it is divided one quantity by another, okay. Now let us say you have a wire, okay. Now if you have a wire like this, and let us say its diameter is d and length is L. Now this wire, because of its own weight, what happens is it will expand. Okay, so if it is expanding and let us say it is forming some change in length, let us say this is delta L and your new diameter is d minus delta d. Okay, now what happens, because of its own weight, usually when you suspend a wire, okay, its length will increase. Now to keep volume constant, okay, to keep volume constant, what happens is, to keep volume constant, when L increases, when length increases, area of cross section decreases. Okay, right? So to keep the volume constant, when length increases, okay, area of cross section will decrease. So now what is your, okay, lateral strain is, your lateral strain in this case is change in diameter by original diameter. Okay, so what is your change in diameter means it is minus of delta d by original diameter is d. Okay, your strain is change in quantity by original quantity. Your lateral strain, that means along the length, okay, along this cross section you are doing. Your longitudinal strain is change in length by original length. Okay, now your Poisson's ratio sigma is equal to minus of delta d by d whole divided by delta L by L. This is your Poisson's ratio. Okay, it is positive quantity, so that is why your decrease in radius you are keeping a minus sign. Final minus initial will give you some negative value, minus of minus, once again you will get the positive value. Okay, now this is your Poisson's ratio, and your Poisson's ratio value is, okay, usually between 0.2 and 0.4. okay, anyhow in different state board books this value will be changing, but usually it is that. Okay, according to the reference book from which I am teaching, I have taken this value. Okay, so this is slightly variable. In each institute's material they will give different value for this. Mostly so far they did not ask what is the value from this. They have asked the question giving the values, they have asked what is the value. They did not ask what is the range. Okay, so obviously they will not ask, but in basic questions if you are getting terms related to this ratio, this is how you are supposed to do it. Okay, now if I continue from here, okay, now for some wire if I try to calculate sigma, okay, so what will happen I will tell you. So I will erase this. Hope you have understood this and you have copied it down. Now for a wire I will try to calculate this Poisson's ratio. How I will tell you. So now from what I have explained, your sigma value is minus of delta d by d whole divided by delta L by L. Change in length. Delta means average, d means small value. Okay, now we know that our volume is pi r square into L for a cylindrical wire. Okay, for this I will calculate your Poisson's ratio. Okay, now here from here if I take in terms of diameter, this will become pi times of your radius is diameter by 2 whole square into L. So your volume is pi d square by 4 into L. Okay, so your volume is that much. Now if you take ln, if you apply ln on both sides, ln V is equal to ln of pi by 4 plus ln of d square plus ln of L. Okay, I am just simply applying logarithm on both sides. Okay, or else directly from errors and measurement chapter, your delta V by V is 2 times delta d by d plus delta L by L. Okay, directly if you are writing your delta V by V is equal to 2 times of delta d by d plus delta L by L. This from errors chapter. Okay, you can do that, percentage error and all. From that itself you can give the answer. Here when wire is expanding like this, your volume is constant, this term is going to become 0. So minus 1 by 2 times of delta d by d is equal to delta L by L with a minus sign. Okay, rearrange the terms. Minus of delta d by d whole divided by delta L by L is, okay, so that will give you 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 is your Poisson's ratio when your volume is actually remaining constant. Other method is derivative of ln v is 1 by v into dv, that is equal to this term is constant, its derivative is 0 plus 2 times of derivative of d diameter that you have here. So small d by 2 small d derivative of small d by d plus ln L will become derivative of, okay, it will become dl. This is capital D, I will write, okay, small d derivative symbol, everything you will get confused. So capital D, this is capital D, so that you will get by d, okay, this will become dl by L. So dv by v is equal to 2 times derivative of diameter by d plus derivative of length with respect to original length. Okay, now rearrange these terms. Once again this is 0, delta or d doesn't matter. When delta x is tending to 0, it becomes dx. Here anyhow all these expansions are small, this will become delta d. Once again you will land up in your Poisson's ratio sigma value to be 1 by 2. Okay, so like this, for a general figure when volume is constant, we can calculate the Poisson's ratio. Okay, right. Now in certain books you will be given certain relations relating Poisson's ratio with modulus of elasticity and all. Okay, those expressions and all I will give it in I will keep it in my problem solving sessions, because everything in this conceptual part if I do, you will get confused. Okay, so it is not required. That part we will see in my problem solving session, your relations between different modulus of elasticity. But still for those who are watching these videos, okay, your relation between elastic modulus of elasticity, different values that you have is given like this. Okay, your relation between different moduli of elasticity, okay, it is not required, that is why I have kept in the problem solving session. Okay, those who are watching my videos for freely also, no issues, you will get benefited. So your Young's modulus y is 2 times of modulus of rigidity times, okay, modulus of rigidity times 1 plus sigma. Okay, this is your Poisson's ratio. Sigma is Poisson's ratio, y is Young's modulus, eta is modulus of rigidity. Your second relation is y is equal to 3b times 3 times of bulk modulus times 1 minus 2 times sigma. Okay, your Poisson's ratio is what you are supposed to take. Okay, next your third one is your Young's modulus is y is equal to 9 times b into eta into 3b plus eta. Okay, you can rearrange, substitute sigma value from this expression, you bring it and substitute into this, you will land up in this. Okay, interrelated. Okay, only one derivation I will do, from that you will do this. Okay, this I have discussed in detail in the problem solving sessions. Okay, so this part, okay, you will get it in problem solving sessions, but you remember these results. Okay, now if you don't know these derivations also, no issues, because in the exam point of view nobody is actually going to ask what is the derive this expression, something like that. They will not ask, because in the mains they will test the knowledge. In the advanced exam only they will test how you are actually getting the these definitions and derivations. Okay, but in advanced part they have stopped asking basic questions from properties of matter long back. If at all, if they ask, they are asking simple questions related to viscosity mostly. Okay, so for mains this chapter is not that much significant, but for NEET people and all, these relations more than enough. mug up these relations, that's all. Okay, don't try to think too much of high standard physics. Okay, it's not good for NEET people. Okay, how much is required that I am doing, you do that part. Okay, next, and coming to your next part, okay, we will have experiment, that is determination of Young's modulus. Now the experiments part, okay, I am planning to do with the equipment. Okay, so it takes some time, and study experiments, around 20 experiments will be there. All those with the equipment we will do it, and we'll shoot the videos, everything, and then I'll explain. If not, still I'll make a playlist depending upon the time. As of now, in all the chapters, wherever these experiments related stuff is coming, that is principle of calorimetry, calorimeter experiment, Young's modulus experiment, and vernier caliper, screw gauge, all those a separate, I will put separate videos, or separately we will do each part separately, experiment parts separately. I am not going to combine this theoretical part with that part. Okay, so experiment part, if at all, if any questions come also, if you are my students, I advise you, we will do that before the exam, because in the month of January or February, most of the state boards will have practical exams. So in the practical exams, obviously you will doing it. Okay, you will be doing it. So once, if I just quickly summarize, that is more than enough before the exam. Okay, so that is, those questions will be easy, but I don't want to waste my time now. Okay, right, next is your elastic potential energy. Your next thing is your elastic potential energy. Now coming to your elastic potential energy. Okay, so this elastic potential energy is something that is important. Now normally when you take a wire like, now if you are trying to calculate your potential energy, work done in stretching this wire will be stored as your elastic potential energy. Now we are going to calculate that elastic potential energy. Okay, so I will take the values. Let us say from here to here the length of the wire is capital L. Okay, now at some instance, okay, let small l be the extension. Further it is extending by dl, let us say. Okay, now in extension from L to dl, what is your potential energy stored means your small work done is your restoring force at that instant times your small displacement dl is this much. In extending by this small displacement dl, how much is the work means this restoring force into dl. Okay, right, here you cannot just simply write your work is equal to force into displacement delta L and then do the calculation, because this formula is valid. Force into displacement is valid only when there is constant force. Here you have variable force. Okay, why there is variable force means it is y into a into, at this point how much is the extension means L by capital L into dl. Okay, right, so that will give you dw. Now your total work done is W is equal to integral of dw, that is integral of y into a into L by capital L into dl, where your L is varying from 0 to delta L like this. Now if you simplify this, you are going to get ya by L into, okay, it is L square by 2 from 0 to delta L. If you simplify this, half into ya by L capital L times delta L whole square by 2. Okay, no, 2 already we have taken out, so you are going to get this much value. So now from here, this is your work which is stored as your potential energy. This is half into y times a into delta L times delta L by L. Now what I will do is I will multiply this with into length and by length, so that this area into length part will become volume. So your work done by volume is half of Young's modulus into okay, delta L by L is strain, one delta L by L and another delta by L, so you are going to get half of Young's modulus into strain whole square, that is equal to, this is nothing but your energy density, okay, this is your energy density, that is work done per unit volume. So Young's modulus is what? Young's modulus is stress by strain. So your Young's modulus into strain will give you stress. So you can also write this as half into stress into strain. Okay. So you can write this expression also in this way, from Young's modulus into strain. Okay. So final conclusion is your elastic potential energy density. Okay. Your potential energy is half into stress into strain times volume. Okay, volume many people will forget, but this is volume. Your potential energy by volume, that is your energy density, that is half of stress into strain. Okay, so like this we are going to calculate your energy value. Okay, so the work done in expanding this or work done in increasing the length will be stored as your elastic potential energy. That deforming force or restoring force will be causing this potential energy. Okay, now with this basic ideas of this chapter is actually done. Some more applications, why beams will bend and all, torsional constants and all for different, why in the shaft we will be using hollow wires, why not solid cylinders and all, we will use it, I will explain with maths. So all those examples in the problem solving session, but in the theory part and for mains level this is more than enough. Okay, so now anyhow, because the chapter is done, let me summarize everything in a minute. So your summary is from the previous class and today's class. Okay, we have seen only mechanical properties of solids, and what is that we are supposed to remember is point number 1, your first definition is your strain that you have is change in length by original length if it is longitudinal strain, change in volume by original volume if it is bulk strain or volume strain. Okay, and if it is shear stress or shear strain thing, we will write, okay, delta x by L or tan phi, depending upon if the angle is big or it is just simply phi. Okay, next coming to your stress is, basic definition is restoring force by area. Okay, and if Hooke's law is valid, okay, your stress by strain is Young's modulus of elasticity, and this modulus of elasticity can be Young's modulus, bulk modulus if it is minus of delta P by delta V by V, it is Young's modulus if you have force related to length. Okay, if it is related to longitudinal length part, it is Young's modulus. For bulk modulus it is this much, and if it is modulus of rigidity, we have F by A by delta X by L, that is in this shear part. Okay, when bending is involved, automatically to your mind it should strike this shear part and all. Okay, right, these are the modulus of elasticity that you have. And another formula is your Poisson's ratio is your sigma is equal to minus of delta D by D by delta L by L. This is your Poisson's ratio. For a standard figure, when volume is constant, it usually lies between 0.2 to 0.4. When volume is constant, sigma is equal to half. Then what else we have seen is, okay, relation between modulus of elasticity. So I don't remember it, but because you are writing the exam, you must remember this. Okay, so only in terms of Young's modulus I have given. So out of those two equations, you solve any two equations, you will get the third equation. And then your energy by volume, that is your energy density is half into stress into strain. Okay, and if you want complete energy, you multiply the volume on the other side. Okay, this you must have learned from the last two classes. Now, okay, your next lecture we will do basic problems. In that lecture I will do the derivations between relation between your modulus of elasticity. In problem solving sessions, anyhow I told you, for my students I will have private links. Everything if I keep for free, nobody will come to my place. So for that reason I am actually holding some content. Okay, but those who are learning, those who are doing self learning without going to any coaching institute, more than enough, this part will be there. But problem solving sessions, private links. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you.